Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Bible class, The Word. Come on into the Word. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So come on in and let us pour the Word into you. We ain't gonna hold you long. Just give us a few minutes. So whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing. Turn on your YouTube. We're on YouTube under Rainy Boo, or you can hear on Facebook. We're on Facebook and we are on YouTube. And my YouTube channel is Rainy Boo. So if you want, some people have trouble on Facebook, don't like Facebook or whatever, then you jump on over there to YouTube. You can catch me right there on this channel, Rainy Boo. That's my YouTube channel. So come on in, stop what you're doing, give us a few minutes. This is The Word. That's our new name for our Bible class, The Word. Come on into the Word. Like David said, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against God. Good evening to my wife, our First Lady. God bless you this evening. Welcome to the Word. That's our new name for our Bible class, the Word. The Bible said, be steadfast, unmovable, but it also said, always abounding in the work of the Lord. So we should be looking for different ways that we can continue to move up, move to the next level. Even though Paul said, whatever stage or wherever you find yourself in life, he said, be content. But content does not mean to be complacent. We got to continue to abound in the work of the Lord. That's why Jesus said, greater works than these shall you do. So if we're going to do greater works, then we got to keep abounding, keep moving to the next level. All right, so come on in. Give us a few minutes to talk to you, and then you can go on about your business. Just give us a few minutes. So we're going to get started this evening, and we're going to be talking about here natural and spiritual assessments. Natural and spiritual assessment. Many people, and with all of us, our first instinct is to look at things from the natural and make a natural assessment of it. But sometimes people get caught up in fear of the natural and they don't get to the spiritual assessment. Because the spiritual assessment of the thing, that's where the greatest power is at, the spiritual assessment. But so many people lose the battle, lose the fight before it even gets started because they looking at the natural and fear set ins and they give up. Good evening to my cousin Shirley. God bless you this evening. So many people look at things from the natural and they give up and they don't make it to the spiritual assessment. And so we're going to look at a couple things this evening, how the servant of Elijah and David looked at things from a natural and a spiritual assessment of it. Remember, the spiritual assessment is we're talking about the power of God. And so we're going to go over here to 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 15 through 17. He said, when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? Now, here all of a sudden he looking at it from the natural. All of these people around us. What we gonna do? It's more of them than us. Good evening, Pastor White, First Lady Gail. God bless you. Glad to have you with us this evening. And so most of us just like this guy. Naturally, wow, look at all of them folks, them soldiers around the city. What we gonna do? That's the natural assessment of things. But let's look here at this 16th verse where Elijah said to him, fear not. See, Elijah went right for the spiritual assessment of this thing. He said to him, fear not. I don't know why my thing is not moving, my Bible not moving with it. But he said to him, fear not. I'm going to work on that Bible. But he said to him, fear not. I want you to fear not, no matter what's going on. Fear not. Too many of us get caught up in what we see, and we go into fear. It's more of them than us. What am I going to do? What I'm going to do? It's more of them than us. He let that fear set in. Good evening, Sister Brenda. God bless you, my sister. Glad to have you with us this evening, Sister Brenda McDade. God bless you, my sister. He let that fear set in over there in 2 Kings 6 and 16. Fear set in. So right away, Elisha says to him, fear not. And then he said to him, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. Right away, Elijah was looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. He wasn't caught up in the physical. Many people get caught up in the physical and they can't get any further. But Elijah right away looked to the spiritual side where the power was at and said they that be with us is more than they be with them. And then he went on in that 17th verse and said to him, Elijah prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. In other words, give him the spiritual assessment of this situation. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elijah. And that's what we got to learn to do. In the midst of this government shutdown, it looked like we ain't gonna make it. It's for some look like you ain't gonna get no paycheck. That's the natural. But then we got to look at it from the spiritual assessment. And that's where God comes in. He's in control of everything. The silver, the gold, everything belongs to him. And so we got to learn to not get caught up in what's physically we see, what's going on. And remember that God got the power. The earth is the Lord's, not the White House. The earth is the Lord, not the Congress. The silver and gold is his. The cattle on 1,000 hills is his. So that's the spiritual assessment, what we got to learn to do and look at things in these trying times. Because naturally, oh man, it's over. We have a natural assessment of death. We see death, we think it's over. Remember when Jesus and the disciples were talking about Lazarus. And Jesus said, he just sleeping. They couldn't understand that. So finally, Jesus just said he dead, put it on their level. But Jesus was looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. That the natural death that we see, that's not the end of a person. So we need to learn to assess things from a spiritual standpoint like Jesus did. And like who we talking about, Elijah, he did. His servant couldn't figure out what was going on, became afraid. And so Elijah had to come in and pray to the Lord to open his eyes, that he may see things different, that we don't get caught up in what we naturally see. And then we want to talk about David over there in 1 Samuel 17, 32, 33. It said, David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. And he was talking about Goliath. He said, thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. David was looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. But then King Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So there he right away went to the natural, which like most of them do. This man bigger than you. This man been fighting longer than you. You just a young boy. This man been fighting since he been around while you running around here playing. Good evening, Sister Ellison. God bless you. Glad to have you this evening. And so King Saul made a natural assessment of the situation. He feared for David's well-being. You ain't strong enough to go against this guy. But then we see David jump right away to the spiritual assessment of things in verses 34 through 37. David said to Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he rose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them. Excuse me. Saying he has defiled the armies of the living God. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And so Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with you. You see how David right away made a spiritual assessment of the situation based upon his experience. We got to remember the victories in our lives. That same God that brought you through that other situation, he'll bring you through this situation. That same God that brought our foreparents through slavery, he'll bring us through this government shutdown. Come on, y'all. We got to learn to make a spiritual assessment of things. When we look at things and things ain't going well, they talking about shutting off my gas or whatever they're talking about, taking away my paycheck. Stop. Don't get caught up in fear. Looking at it from a natural standpoint. You get that spiritual assessment. And that spiritual assessment will let you know that God is in control. And the same God that delivered me back then, delivered my mom and daddy back then, He's here to deliver us now. Bible teaches us that all that we read in the Bible is as examples for us. So the same God that delivered Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, that delivered Daniel, that delivered the 3 Hebrew boys, those were examples to show us that God will deliver us. So we got to make that spiritual assessment of things and then don't get caught in the natural assessment. Okay, well, let's move right along. Verse 38, King Saul went right back to the natural. He said, Saul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. Still looking at things from a natural standpoint. And so, verse 39, we see David. Okay, David kind of went with it. He started out. David girded his sword upon his armor, and he getting ready to go. But then that spiritual assessment kicked in, and he said he had not proved it. And he said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off. He put them off, y'all. He hadn't proved it. He went into that spiritual assessment. But then he jumped to the natural. Okay, verse 40. Let's look at that. He began to jump back to the natural. He took his staff in his hand. He still had something. So we are natural beings, y'all. We're going to pick up a rock or something. We're going to get something, ball our fence or something now. I'm in a fight now. Come on now. You know, it's a little tough to go out there like those choir members, singers who went out onto the battlefield just singing. That was a little tough. But if God said you got to do that, we got to make that spiritual assessment and believe in God. So it's a natural thing for us to want to naturally get something. So David got his staff in his hand and he chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand. He had a slingshot and he drew near to the Philistine. That was what he had naturally. And then we see the Philistine came on and drew near unto David. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And so when the Philistine, Goliath, looked up and saw David, he made a natural assessment. He thinking, I'm going to win. I got this. Because he made a natural assessment. This little guy. He said, he looked about and saw David. He disdained him. Checked him out. For he was but a youth and ruddy of a fair countenance. This little old pretty boy coming out here to fight me. And so the verse 43, the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his God. See, now he think he got this. Oh, I got this. I got this here. He was looking at it from the natural. You just a little boy. I got this here. And good evening to my cousin Sharon. God bless you this evening. And we got to be careful in the natural realm. Sometimes we look at things and we think we don't need God. Oh, I got this here. But from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, we can't make it without God. So don't be like this Philistine. Oh, I'm going to pass this test. It's an easy test. And so you don't pray. You don't call on God. Me and Pastor White talk all the time. You lose your keys. A lot of times we don't call on God to find our keys because we think it's just a little thing. And we don't need God for that. But we got to learn to call on God in every situation. Don't be like this Philistine. Think he got this. Oh, this little old pretty boy ain't never fought before. Ain't got nothing but some rocks and stuff. Oh, come on. Come on. He think he got it. But then we move over here to verse 43. We in 1 Samuel 17, verse 45, excuse me. We move to verse 45 and 46. 1 Samuel 17:45. Then said David to the Philistine. Here David looked at it. He saw the natural. And he recognized the natural. So then David said to the Philistine, that's right, Pastor White, call on him. David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword. I see your spear. You got a shield. So David naturally assessed that this guy got a big old sword, a spear, and a shield. But then here come David, jumped right to the spiritual assessment of that situation. He said, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defiled. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite you and take thine head from you, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistine this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all of the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Here he began to prophesy. David stepped into the spiritual assessment of that thing. Not only said that he gonna give the host, not only gonna give Goliath, but he gonna give all of them, the host of the Philistine. He said plural, more than Goliath. When you step in that spiritual, you'll be able to see, like Elijah said about open the eyes of his servant. And you can see it's more to this thing than the natural. And so we need to get into the spiritual assessment of the thing, and we'll see that God got it under control. Everything gonna be all right. Don't you worry about these folk coming at you, talking about, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, running in fear. Let's leave the country and all of that stuff there. They got people running in fear. No, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power and love and of a sound mind. And so don't you worry about what's going on. You just play your part. Just like this election that we had yesterday. We got to learn to play our part and not sit back on your hind part, looking at it from the natural standpoint. Oh, it ain't gonna make no difference. Neither one of them is any good. But our foreparents had to go through struggle to get us the right to vote. They didn't have nobody to vote for, but they went to the voting polls. And here we are, can go to the voting polls. Ain't got to worry about nobody shooting at us, asking us some crazy questions about how many stars there are. They had to go through that. But we can just walk in there and vote. And now our people don't want to vote. We got to learn to make a spiritual assessment of this thing like our foreparents did. They voted not because of their pockets, not because of what the voting could do for them, but they made a spiritual assessment and looked ahead to what this voting could do for us, y'all. Come on, y'all. We got to wake up and stop being so selfish in our assessment of things. The natural assessment is selfish. I remember when I was working on the railroad and times were tough and they was talking about laying off the people that didn't have no seniority. I had seniority. And the union came to me and asked me, and it must have been God that sent them to me, and said, should we lay off the younger people so we can work more and have bigger paychecks? But I didn't look at it from the natural. The spiritual assessment came up in me, and I said, no, we all got to struggle. If we got to struggle, let's struggle together. I don't want to see nobody put out on the street. That was a spiritual assessment of the thing, not a selfish, natural assessment. And it wasn't long before we all were making overtime, so much overtime. And so we got to learn to make a spiritual assessment of things like David did in this situation. Naturally, he saw the big spear. Naturally, we see what's going on in our world. Naturally, we see all the death and everywhere. But we got to remember, it's only appointed to us once, which means, wait a minute, if he said that it's only appointed to once, that means something else is going on here. Something else is beyond here. Which is why Jesus said, don't fear them that can kill the body and no more. Wait a minute. There's something beyond here. We got to learn to start making them spiritual assessment in our lives. And don't just stop at the natural. David made some natural assessment in this, what we just read, but he jumped right to the spiritual assessment. And that's what we got to learn to. Not stop at what we naturally see, what's naturally going on, and make that spiritual assessment, knowing who's in control. Our God is in control. It may not look good right now. It may not feel good right now. But we know that all things work for the good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So no matter what you're going through, hang on in there. Make that spiritual assessment that our God is going to make a way. No good thing will he withhold from us if we walk upright. All right, that's our word for today. That's our word for today. And that's our new name for our Bible class, The Word. Come on in, The Word, and be with us Wednesdays, 7 o'clock in The Word. So, anybody got anything to say? If not, then we thank you to you all for coming out here and being with us in our virtual Bible class, The Word. The Word. All right. Say you like it, cousin Shirley, The Word. Well, welcome to The Word. That's what we all about, going through the Word. And I'm going to check out and see what's going on with my Bible. I like to show y'all what I'm reading to you, even though you can pick up your own Bible and check it out for yourself. But I'm going to figure out what happened with my Bible. So thank you to you all. Yeah, Sister Sonia, we talked not too long ago. She said, oh, devil wouldn't let her get on and be a part of the Bible class and services that we were having on Facebook. But we thank God that she's able to get on, to get through. Amen. So, amen. Gotta make a way. We got to make that spiritual assessment of things. And Peggy said she's feeling better. Thank you all for your prayers. Amen. And I'm feeling better too, doing better. Amen. Thank God. This is just a situation we just going through. See, when that sickness, that old COVID hit the house, I knew that God got power over COVID. So I knew it was something we just going through. I didn't jump into fear. We made a natural assessment of the situation. Amen. What you say, cousin Shirley, we are not to deceive as to what's going on in our world, but as you said, we need to make that spiritual assessment. That's right. And we made the natural assessment when that COVID came into this house. Peggy went out, called her doctor to get the medicine. I forget the name of it, Plaxabord or something. that they give you now. What is it? Paxlovid that they give you for that COVID. But the devil threw another curve in there, and it costs $500. Oh, whoa, see? But we didn't worry about it. We didn't worry about it. And the doctor, when she found out that Peggy couldn't get that old $500, she gave her a $3 one. Folks might have went into fear, might not wanted that old $3 medicine, but that old $3 cough medicine got Peggy doing better. I took some of that old $3 medicine. We didn't have to get that old $500 medicine. That's that spiritual assessment to let you know that our God can do with us like he did with David. Take a little slingshot, take a little old rock, and bring that giant down. COVID thought it had us because we couldn't get that old medicine. But don't you let go into fear because they running these medicines and insurances up. God ain't went nowhere. He's still here. So make that spiritual assessment. God will make a way. Yeah, cause you remember Sam walking running around here, coughing and going on, bringing stuff, from them kids and stuff. He had something first. Yep, you right about that, Cousin Shirley. But let's make that spiritual assessment, y'all, and don't give up. Don't go into fear when you can't pay for the medicine or nothing. Our God still can make a way. Nothing can stop the power of God. All right. Anything else this evening? Thank you. Thank you to you all. Y'all be blessed. Remember to trust the process and keep God first. Trust the process and keep God first, no matter what you're going through. Don't just make a natural assessment. It's okay to make a natural assessment, but you make sure you make that spiritual assessment too, which is where the power is at. Y'all be blessed. Thank you for being a part of the Word. Y'all be blessed. Trust the process and keep God first.